Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast.
Bum bum ba bum bum ba dum bum ba bum bum. Hello, everybody, and welcome in to Winter is Blooming, a Game of Thrones rewatch podcast by us, the Penny Bloom Podcast, and today we're talking a pretty good one, Season 4, Episode 3, titled Breaker of Chains, written by D&D, David Benioff and D.B. Weiss, directed by Alex Graves, originally aired on 4/20/2014.
Okay.
So I know a lot of people were having fun going up, celebrating the Game of Thrones episode that night.
Oh, yeah.
But I am Colton Robertson. I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. Like I said, we're talking Season 4, Episode 3, and we're coming off a couple biggies. You know, within the last, including this one, 5 episodes. Season 3, Episode 9, Season 3 finale, Season 4 premiere, Season 4, Episode 2. We've seen the deaths of 4 major characters, at least. We've seen massive things happen. So this one naturally doesn't live up to quite that expectation as the last few episodes have set for us, but it's still pretty fucking good.
Yeah, you know, maybe I was a little jumping the gun in saying that this episode was a little step down, but I just didn't really think about what all has been happening in the previous episodes. Like,
the reason it's a step down.
Maybe I do need a little bit of a breather, you know, like so much has happened, and now like this is actually the chance that you get to sit with it and be like, oh, okay, this is where we're going now, you know.
Yeah, this feels like the season finale after the penultimate episode where everything happens, and it's actually only episode 3 of the season.
That's true. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it would have been really weird if Tommen just showed up and just started being king out of nowhere, you know? Like, it was nice to get that, like, ushered in.
That's a wonderful scene, by the way.
Yeah, like, I guess, like, every part that we checked in on, nothing crazy or anything massive happened, like, you know, Joffrey dying or Robb dying, or, you know, we didn't get a big death, anything like that, but it was, you know, now that I'm kind of looking back on it, this is... You're right. It's just like the episode after the penultimate, but we're only in episode 3. So I guess that's not a bad thing at all.
It's a pretty special season that we've gotten ourselves into here with season 4. It's nothing but good shit, man. And this one, I had a good time with it. But we shall begin. We got a few locations this week. 5, 6 of them, which is plenty, but not a lot happens at any of them particularly. It is kind of just, we're checking in, we're moving on. We're checking in, we're moving on. We're checking in, we're moving on. The bulk of it is at King's Landing, and that is actually where this episode will get its start. We start with King Joffrey dead, and that kind of recap. They're like, yeah, that just happened. We're for real. This indeed happened, you know, kind of showing the dead body, like opening it with his dead face, and Cersei screaming and Tywin being like, shut down the borders, no one leaves the capital. I was like, okay, that's hard. Love that.
Ooh. Yeah, I guess I was wrong in saying that it would be Jack Gleeson's last appearance.
Oh, yeah.
Last, I guess, spoken appearance. I saw in just like the IMDb trivia that this was his favorite episode to shoot because he got paid to basically take a nap and just lay there on a table. And I don't blame him. You know, he didn't have to play a a piece of shit the whole time, and he just had to lay there in silence. So, we could,
he was like, "Oh, this was the shit. Loved this one."
So,
I got what I deserved.
Yeah, this is my favorite Jack Gleason performance entirely of Game of he
easily my favorite Joffrey appearance. There's no doubt about that.
Won't be getting the performance nod. I think that'll stick to last episode, and that'll be the last for sure. But just a technicality, I guess. I was wrong in saying that it was his last appearance, but
but I couldn't hold you for thinking that because it felt like it. But regardless, they're calling for Sansa to be found. She's fled. Her father seals the capital so no one can leave. And then we see next in King's Landing, Prince Tommen Baratheon, who is an actor returning to Game of Thrones. We saw him very briefly as a kid who was murdered by a Karstark.
Right. Oh, he was a Lannister, I guess.
He was a Lannister. He was still a Lannister.
Oh well.
But no, I loved it. And it is kind of jarring, like it didn't even occur to me that Tommen doesn't really gain any importance in the story until the moment Joffrey dies. As soon as he does, you see him, and we have the whole this whole moment is like, just so you know, this is about to be really fucking important. This kid's next,
like what's about to happen, right? And I think, I don't know, maybe that's also the point of it, just to show that that's how it actually happends. Is just you go down the next in the line, and that's who's the king, even if they're fucking 8 years old at the time, right? Like pretty much, I don't know, because he's somewhat old enough to.
Yeah, I'd guess 10 to 12 in that range.
But I wonder what the. Say
the actor sure as shit older than that at this time, but
say Tommen was 5 in Thrones world right now, and that it would be the next in line, but someone would probably be King Regent or something during that.
Yeah, it would almost certainly. I would have to assume that. I mean, it wouldn't be much different than what it is right now. They would crown him the king, but Tywin would actually be the king, So
if there was a 5-year-old baby, they would actually crown.
They might. I'd assume that they would hold off and they would do it there was something in something we watched. I can't remember if it was House of the Dragon, but they were they will be crowned one day once they come of age, but I can't remember who that was for.
Yeah,
do you know what I'm talking about? Does that ring a bell for
familiar. You? No, it does. It does sound familiar.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it was a what was it, Aegon, the little Aegon kid who ends up becoming king, but I don't know. I don't remember, but. Yeah, I think there is an age limit. It'd be all right, well, this kid's clearly not the king, Let's hold off until he's a little older, until he's putting conscious sentences together, and then we'll figure it out. But
as far as everyone goes so far, Tommen's my favorite. I mean, he's I choose him out of anybody that we kind of got right now. He's innocent, doesn't really know much. Sadly, he's just gonna listen to every single word that he's told and just.
At the instruction of his grandpa.
But I mean, I don't know. He's very innocent, right now. I think that is the point of the introduction, just being you're the king now. You know that. Yeah, your brother dead, whatever.
What makes a good king?
Oh,
that whole scene is really fucking good.
I really like Charles Dance in this episode. He was spitting.
And being what was it? Holiness. Oh, yes, Baelor the Blessed was holy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But he ended up not eating food because food was of this earth and anything of this world was evil. So, any other guesses?
Strength or something? Maybe
yes. The guy you think your dad was strong. He's fucking dead, though. Your dad's dead.
Yeah, right in front of Cersei, too.
Yeah.
After she's I don't think this is the time nor place, and just completely ignored.
Pretty brutal.
Yeah, what was
pretty brutal.
strength, holiness.
Holiness. He ends up landing on wisdom, but there was something in between there.
Yeah.
Wisdom was his fourth one. It was holiness, strength, and I cannot remember.
Yeah. Baylor the Blessed was holy. Let's see him. Justice.
Justice. Yes, he was just. Was it just to allow the realm to fall into the hands of, like that?
Right.
That was
have your own brother betray you and kill
Yeah.
you, or something like that. Yeah. And then wisdom lands on there, and he's like, yes, now you've gotten it, my dear boy, wisdom. There you go.
Yes.
But I don't know. Like Charles Dance, he's always played the role very well. But this was like the first time where I don't know. It was a good. I don't know. This was like a good first lesson for the king. Not anything terrible. Not just like usually the Lannisters are always just terrible. But yeah, this was sort of as neutral as you could get, I guess. Gaslighting the fuck out of him still. I guess if you still want to look at it that way, he's just gaining control of him. But I don't know. This was almost my favorite scene, if it weren't just for what happens right afterwards. Kind of tainted it.
Yeah, no, and like that's the thing is that this would have been like I almost picked it, and I would have been like, it cuts off right there. It cuts off right when they get to the top of the stairs. That's it. Yeah. That's over.
Yeah, that's where it ends. Good.
Yeah. And then another scene begins, wherein as Tywin and Tommen leave, Jaime Lannister enters to see Cersei, and Cersei is calling for the death of Tyrion. It was Tyrion. He did this. You must kill him. And his wife, Sansa, she's gone. You must avenge our son. Do something about this. And Jaime's like, you know what? How about you guys give her some time alone? She needs to cool down. How about y'all get the fuck out of here? And me having remembered where this goes.
Yeah.
When he walks in and does that immediately, I'm like, oh no. This was the mission. This was the goal.
I still cannot believe I had no recollection of this really whatsoever.
It's a bizarre story choice, and we'll get to that a little bit after I walk through the rest of the scene. But he tries to comfort her through his affections, and she refuses. But Jaime is getting quite aggressive, and Cersei insists that the Sept, during a private viewing of their son's corpse, is a highly inappropriate place for sex, and asks Jaime to stop saying that this isn't right. It isn't right. And Jaime refuses to stop saying, I don't care. I don't care. Then they have sex next to their dead son's corpse.
On whenever Tywin walked in the room and was starting to give his little king lesson, and Cersei was like, I don't think this is the place nor the time. I was like, I'm kind of on your side, this could probably wait a little bit, but on one hand, he is becoming the king.
That waits for no one.
This is kind of a little pressing here.
And there's an emphasis to him seeing the previous dead king right in front of him.
I understood why Tywin pushes forth, and I could see that. And then it gets to Jaime. And at first, whenever he tells everyone to leave, I was like, maybe this is, I don't know how I just forgot that this happened.
No, it's something you block out.
Yeah,
it's a willful forgetfulness. And here's why. So in the books, this is not so rapey. It's Jaime is aggressive, and he's like, we haven't done this since I got back. Like this, like I need you, I want you. And she's like, no, we shouldn't.
Oh.
But then George R.R. Martin writes something about how she wanted him as bad as he wanted her. So he makes it consensual with a line like that. This is more in character for Cersei as we know her in this show, I think. This truly is not the time or place, and she's also shown negative interest in Jaime since he got back. This was not going to happen. unless Jamie did something like this. And the reason that this blows beyond the obvious, where it's like, all right, well, how bad do we really need to fucking see this? You know, what are we doing here? They then send Jamie on a redemption arc for the rest of the show, which is like, okay, guys, what are we doing here? This is a villain move. You know, this is what should be his first step back into villainy. You know?
Yeah, and like he even gives like the line, like you're a hateful woman or whatever. Like,
why did the gods make me love a hateful woman?
That's a villain ass line right there. You know that? I mean, you're right. Like, yeah, there's because I guess maybe that's why. Like, I kind of have some of the book memories in my head and some of the show memories in my head, and I don't know which is really which until I rewatch the show, and then I'm like, oh, okay. The books are even fainter of memories because I don't know, I just read them while I was in school while also watching the show at the same time. So like it's just a big conglomerate. But yeah, like I was really liking Jamie's story on this rewatch, and I'm like, oh man, he has such a great story so far. Like, and you know, the save King's Landing without anyone knowing, like they're building him up to be this like amazing, like unsung underdog hero, and then he just comes back and does this.
No, you know, and like, the reason it rubs me the wrong way is that like it's either D&D were careless enough to not really recall that they themselves made this happen, you know? Or that they truly view this as a forgivable act that he committed.
Yeah,
and either way, it makes you bad at writing, you know? And this is one of the more glaring examples of D&D's, you know, them taking their own liberties away from the books. And like I said, it is more in character for Cersei to be like within the show to be like, no, this isn't going to happen. But also within the show at this point in time, it'd be more in character for Jamie to stop. You know, we're seeing a glimpse of season 1 Jamie here, who hasn't been like that for 25 episodes. You know, like it's been so long since Jamie acted like this. And I don't know, it's just a questionable choice to make.
Yeah. And you know, I can't believe that it took me this long to remember it. Maybe that's just why. I just wanted to keep it out of my head to make his story better, you know, in my head. But yeah, after seeing this, it instantly was like, oh, well, that's the thing that obviously I've been waiting to see, and that I didn't know. And yeah, it's just
right next to their dead son's corpse too.
Yep.
You know, like that's just it's already bad, regardless.
Hey, there's not many things that could make it worse, you know. Like,
and they managed to do it.
Yeah. that is incredible. That's.
There's not a lot you can do to make a sexual assault scene worse than just the sexual assault, and to do it right next to their dead incestuous son's corpse. There's just several layers to it that makes it a god-awful moment for this show, and a god-awful moment for every character involved, you know?
Yeah. Glad I'm past it now, though.
Yeah.
You know, don't have to worry about that anymore. Now I'll know what's coming, though. So I won't hold Jamie up to this. I don't know, but it's not really his fault, though. It's like just like, I don't know. I feel like it's...
No, yeah, like that's the thing is that like... I view that as a writing flaw. Like, I don't know why the writers felt the need to do something like that. Like, it doesn't make sense for where Jamie has gotten to in his story. And I don't know if someone has any idea why it's the case. I would love to hear it out. But like
maybe they wanted Jamie to like stick with Cersei and like follow her down her twisted path, and like maybe they were like supposed to be evil together and stuff. I don't know, like, but then maybe they really like.
It will be interesting to see Jamie's arc as it unfolds over the course of this season and through the end of season 5. because at the end of season 5 is when we cut ties with the books.
Okay.
So that could be an interesting possibility where for the next couple seasons he is kind of playing this middle ground sort of vibe where you're like, well, he's back in the shit and he's not really doing anything, you know. If I recall correctly, I feel like he helps Tyrion escape, but
I think so. Yeah, through the tunnels or something.
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah, I think that's true.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, they clearly wanted him to be redeemable. It's just it reflects very poorly on D&D to think he can be redeemable after this, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll be now, instead of watching Jamie with a close eye because I really enjoyed his story, I'll be watching with a close eye to see where their heads were at, I guess.
No, yeah, and it was just one of those examples this time around where I've never really thought of it through that lens. Like, oh God, this is a terrible choice for the characters themselves beyond just a bad moment. You know, like it's so it made me realize just how poorly they handled Jamie on the whole all the way through the fucking show.
Yeah.
But regardless, we then get a flashback to the wedding revealing, or we did already get a flashback to the wedding with Sansa escaping with Sir Dantos Hollard from King's Landing to ship off the coast. As Sansa is taken aboard, she is greeted by Lord Peter Baelish. And he remembers that he still owes Dantos his fees. Like, oh, what was it? What was it, 10,000? Oh, yeah. Hey, bring the 10,000 over here. Kills him with crossbows. Nice and clean like. And Sansa's horrified to have watched him die face to face, probably looking right at him as it happened.
And she just thinking that he was just a drunken fool that gave a family heirloom, you know, to her. Like, she's actually still believing in the story at this point. Yeah. And, like, thinking that he was the one that got her to this boat to safety. Like,
he was a drunken fool.
Yeah, like, but I don't know. This reveal of Littlefinger was actually pretty cool. Like, I forgot, like, how long he wasn't in the show for. Like, he's kind of just been missing for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
And
he's been plotting.
Yeah, and I love how he's like, he's thinking he's having like a hero moment, and he's like saying like, "Oh, Sansa,
everything is going to be okay."
You know, and then like Sir Dantos starts talking. He's like, "Hey, come on, man! I'm right in the middle of my epic hero speech where Sansa's supposed to fall in love with me now." You know, like I don't know. You could tell he's just he thinks of everything. You know, even what he's gonna say in this moment. I just in my head he's been practicing it in like in his room, I don't know, in the ship before the whole time, and then Sir Dantos just comes in and just, I don't know, kind of interrupts the middle of it. But I don't know, this was I liked like the kind of reveal that Littlefinger was back, you know, like kind of forgot about him because there's just so much else going on in the show.
Well, and like, there's also this, like the first viewing of this, I don't know if I remember thinking like, oh, well then Littlefinger did that. But it's so blatantly obvious that he did. You know, like it's like, oh, well, he was responsible for this in some capacity.
Yeah, even like a line after they shoot Sir Dantos with the crossbow, they're like, "Why'd you kill him?" You know, but then Littlefinger was talking about Joffrey or something in the meantime, and it kind of is like a double, like a line of like killing Sir Dantos, but then also like, why did you kill the king? You know, as like kind of was playing on both.
I don't trust drunken fools.
But yeah, I don't know. It is very clear. Like on first watch, yeah. I
don't think that I thought much of it. I just thought like, oh,
like Sansa's getting out, and
yeah, I thought like Dantos was like, oh, it's just good timing, cool. Yeah, Dantos was like, all right, now's our time, we gotta go. Yeah, but, no, I don't know.
I guess it's hard to see that whole plan of Littlefinger.
Yeah, the whole big picture at that point.
But yeah, that I don't know. It was a pretty cool, just short little. I mean, it didn't really last for long. You know, very dark.
No, that was
kind of very ominous. You were like with Sansa, like because she didn't know what was going on. She's like, she just saw the king just die. She doesn't know if she's being taken to like be killed or like something. She doesn't know if she's truly safe at all.
Right.
And like, I don't know. After seeing Cernatos gets shot in the face, I guess how safe does she really feel with Littlefinger? Is like I don't know how I don't know, like could have I don't know sheltered her a little bit more, after what she went through. I guess I don't know what to change, but at least she's not in King's Landing anymore. I like that.
Yeah, and
That's
it takes a long journey for her to be comfortable again, I would say. I don't think she's honestly in a good spot until like season 7.
the end of the show.
Yeah.
Like a very long time.
Yeah, it's a while.
What
but,
doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I'm trying to find the gleaming light in it, for her. But yeah, no, it does take a long time. The poor Starks.
Oh, and this is another, she's about to, we talk about Arya and the way that she just kind of moves from mentor to mentor in this sort of interesting way where she started with the first sword of Bravos, the water dancer. Then she briefly was with Jaqen H'ghar for a few episodes. Now she's with the Hound. She'll be with Brienne of Tarth at some point. She'll be back with Jaqen H'ghar before she's fully well-rounded. Sansa has a similar thing going on that you don't even really realize on the same level because she's not getting trained in combat, Cersei imposed a lot of dangerous wisdom on her, and Peter Baelish immediately imposes a lot of dangerous wisdom on her. And it's interesting because she takes the advice of these evil people who she happens to be around a lot of the time and figures out how to make it good. And it's a real credit to Sansa's character to have been around all this terrible shit and terrible people, and be a Stark, still be a Stark at heart.
I don't know. I did forget about that line of that Littlefinger kind of tells her at the end of this. Like he takes the necklace off and breaks it, and he's like, "Remember what I told you before I left. We're all liars in King's Landing," or whatever. I think Sansa says it. Like he remembers it and like the callback to it. But yeah, I don't know. It was I like Littlefinger. I don't know. I hate all the things he does.
I like him, but I like him
as a character. He's like he just spices things up a whole lot.
He does. He does for sure. But we then head to a brothel owned by Littlefinger, operated by Oliver at the moment, wherein we're getting some sort of Ouroboros of bodies, all lined up, all sucking and fucking on each other. Ilaria Sand, Oberyn Martell, Oliver, a few other women. And when Ilaria goes in for a kiss with Oliver, Oberyn's like, "Oh, you greedy," like, "Oh man, I was having fun over here." And he's like, "I'm sorry, I never acquired the taste." And Oberyn like, "You just call my darling an acquired taste?"
Yeah, he's like, "Yo, what's going on?" Yeah, this scene was amazing.
Oh yeah, this Oberyn, 3 for 3 for me so far.
I think he's gonna have a pretty strong run here. I mean, Olenna came in, and I really liked her introduction, and she like captured the scene every time she was in there. But Pedro Pascal just has a different way of doing it. Like is he
your favorite character this episode too?
Yeah. It was either between him. Like I don't know really who else to go with character wise. Just because
with this episode, then he will have officially surpassed Robb Stark and Ned Stark for total favorite character nods.
Yeah, I mean,
in 3 episodes, making him third in the most favorite character nods. In 3 episodes, it's pretty fucking incredible. He also gets my favorite line because it's one of my favorite explanations of bisexuality in all of media.
Yeah. No, this was good.
God created that, and it delights me. God created this, and he slaps Oliver's ass, and it delights me. When it comes to war, I fight for Dorne. When it comes to love, I don't choose sides. That was my favorite line. Very easily. I was, oh my God, I fucking love Oberyn, man. And an incredible scene that, honestly, I probably would have gone with, but I wanted to spread the love a little bit. So I didn't end up picking it, but...
Yeah, this one was very close for me as well, scene-wise, because, I mean, you get just that scene in itself, just between that small group, just the orgy, was very, very nice. But then you get, the scene with Charles Dance and
Yeah, when
Pedro, and then you get to see them play off each other. Oh my god! Like I was just like, that's why like Oberyn was probably already the character just for that. Just for
that moment. Like literally, he spoke for like 2 minutes, and I was like, "Yep, that's my favorite character of the week," very easily. But then Tywin enters and interrupts the group act that they were putting on, and he wants to discuss Tyrion's up-and-coming trial for the murder of Joffrey. And Tywin brings up Oberyn's knowledge of poisons. He's like, "You're a poison expert, is that right?" He's like, "Absolutely, sir. Something I've taken a great interest in my many years. Absolutely love poison." And he's like, "That's odd, wouldn't you say?" And Oberyn's like, "Quite, yes. It feels rather apt, but I wouldn't have done it like that. I don't kill children. I would have killed you, and I would have killed the mountain. That's who I have my beef with. I don't care about your son. It's literally one of my big things is that I don't like harming children. But he wonders whether Oberyn had helped Tyrion, and like even so, Oberyn being the poison mastermind, he's
Couldn't
like,
have been him.
even so, you still would have just been helping Tyrion.
Yeah, like, and I think Oberyn didn't really know where he was going. He didn't really quite understand that at first, and he was like, "Well, yeah, I'm master of poison. Obviously, that's how I know he died. But like, why? What? I'm here, unarmed. Like, why? Arrest me, whatever. Why aren't you going down that route?" And he's like, "Oh, well, I really hate my son. Want any reason to kill him? So obviously it must have been him, and you must have helped him." And it was, I think,
he's like, you talked to him at this very brothel a couple weeks back when you arrived in the city. What happened there? And he's like, "Well, we talked about the murder of my sister, Elia, by your pet, the mountain."
He's
like, "Oh, man. And you blame me for this?" He's like, "I absolutely do. Yes,
100%. Yep.
No,
He's just
no doubt,
straight to his face. Yeah, he's like, he's been waiting for this conversation. He's like, he wants to have this, and just their back and forth is so good. Like
Pedro Pascal, man, he is so fucking good. Like, I know that I'm a huge Pedro Pascal fan, and that's well noted on this podcast. We've talked about pretty much all the major television shows he's been a part of in the last couple years. But even so, he was fantastic as Joel. This really might be a career role for him. Like one of the best roles he's ever done. Like it's so fucking good.
He's good with a sword or a spear. He's just a fighter. He can handle his own. He's one of the sexiest men in all of Westeros and just the whole world.
No doubt.
Just gets with everyone and lives in the best country or territory, whatever you want to, kingdom of the show. He just has everything going for him in the show already. Like one of the most badass characters there is. And then he's also just Pedro Pascal and performing his ass off. Like he's with Charles Dance right there. And they're going back and forth. There's not many, like, I love the back and forth of, like, who can stand up to, like, Olenna, and Tywin was one that, could kind of go up with them, and, like, not even performance-wise, just, like, in the show itself, like, who is smart enough and who has, like, the wits to, like, keep up with, like, just everything they got going on, but this is, like, probably my favorite interaction so far, was, like, both of them being, like, yeah, we both want to kill each other, like, kind of, but we're both smarter than that. And, Oberyn is like, if I kill you now, you're just going to arrest me. And then I don't actually get what I want. You know?
What I want is the fucking mountain.
And,
I'd love to talk to him. Oh, and I'm sure he'd love to talk to you. Oh, he might not love it as much as he thinks he would.
They're so good. Like, just both thinking they have the upper hand the whole time, and like they're both it's just, I loved this scene. This scene was
God, it makes it so hard to think about the way Oberyn meets his end. If he would have just killed the fucking mountain.
Had
man.
him. He had him.
He had him. He had to twist the knife, man. It hurts. It hurts. But Tywin does deny ordering the death of his sister. Of his sister. And
categorically.
He's like, so here's what I really came down here for, you know. I want you to be the third judge at Tyrion's trial. He's like, that's a fucking weird choice. Why on earth would you do that? Well, you know, the Tyrells, they were an enemy to the crown prior to all this. I think that we could make something good out of the tragedy that has befallen my family. And he's like, all right, well, how's being third judge going to do that? He's like, that probably won't, but you being on the small council might. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
And that gets Oberyn's attention. Oberyn's like, oh, okay. The attaché from Dorne being a part of the small council. He explains that he's eager to bring Dorne back into the fold, wanting to unite the Seven Kingdoms against one very obvious threat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the Greyjoys are in rebellion, a wildling army is advancing on the wall, and more specifically, there is a Targaryen girl in the east with a powerful army and 3 dragons, and the Dornish are the only ones who successfully resisted Aegon.
Pretty cool to think about that.
And it makes sense why they have their princes. It's like the Prince of Dorne. It's not like the lord. They don't have lords. They have princes and princesses and all that because they didn't get taken over. So all the kingdoms used to be their own kingdoms. There used to be a king of Storm's End. There used to be a king in the north. And then they all got folded in and they became wardens of the north, wardens of the east, wardens of this.
Okay.
But Dorne was like, yeah, no, y'all don't fuck with us. We still got our shit. We didn't get taken over by Aegon.
God. Do we ever actually get to see Dorne? Have we?
We do. We do go there. Because
to visit. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, I now remember. It's coming back.
I'm pretty sure Jaime and Bronn actually go there to attempt to take Marcella back to Westeros, and they get in all sorts of trouble and fuck things up and make things worse, etc., etc. But Oberyn dryly notes it must be hard for Tywin to admit he needs the Dornish for help, and thus concludes that scene. But yeah, Oberyn, once again, an easy choice for character. Mm-hmm. And just kind of astonishing run that character's on. Immediately, probably in terms of like per capita, you know, per episode, the amount of joy I get out of watching a character, he might be the best character in the entire fucking show.
I'm trying to think. There's not like a lot of other people just so spread out.
If you are in 8 episodes. And in those 8 episodes straight, I have zero fucking doubt that you are the best character in that episode, dude.
3 for 3, and I don't see any signs of stopping. You know, like.
Well, he was in this one scene, and in this one scene, it was enough for me to go, well, "Yep, that's a no-brainer. That's a fucking duh." The dude
Daenerys is the only other kind of one that gives a run for like the character this episode, but like it's kind of what she's been doing. Like she hasn't really, I don't know, it's just kind of the next step in her plan really, but this was, I don't know, like I don't even think it's even close there still.
Yeah. Unfortunately, he will not be in next week's episode.
No.
That's the only one he misses out on. So he will be in 7 total episodes, 8 episodes across the board. But
They needed to have someone else get the light.
They needed us to take a break off him in season 4.
Okay.
But regardless, we then head to what is my actual favorite scene of the episode, where Tyrion down in the black cells of King's Landing is visited by his squire Podrick Payne, who's like, well, I had some wine for you, my lord, but they found that and took it off me. However, I have all this shit. He like pulls out everything from every nook and cranny and crevice in his body. He's got a parchment and some parchment paper and a pen, a quill, some hard cheeses, if you'd like. They didn't get the candles, which was cool. And Tyrion's just like, God damn, man, I fucking love you, dog. You're so fucking cool.
Yeah, he's too good. Like God Rod Pod, Talk
God, Rod
maybe
Pod.
maybe another character.
Podrick, I would have heard it out for sure, because it's one of those moments that just makes you realize, like, oh damn, Tyrion hasn't had a lot of people in his corner, and Podrick has been unquestioningly in his corner, so much so that he was like willing to die for him here. He was like,
he was really contemplating it too. Yeah, like he knew full well what it meant and everything. Maybe it hadn't quite like fully realized in his head, but like, I don't know. It was like running down the list of everyone. Tyrion, like, well, how about, can I see so and so? No, they've already taken them. They're already a judge.
The whole thing. He's like, I've been sent to compile a list of your witnesses. He's like, oh, I can call my own witnesses. That's dope. Oh, well, first Sansa, and Pod's like, no, that's not going to work.
He's gone.
She disappeared.
Huh? Yeah, well, I think he says she's gone, and then Tyrion's initially like, wait a minute, what do you mean gone? Yeah, he's like, whoa. Yeah, that's Sansa. I forgot. Yeah, Sansa was the first, and then he calls for
Bronn.
Yeah, and they're like, well,
you can't speak to Bronn. He's a known sellsword and an associate of yours. He's under investigation all his own. And he's also like, any word of Shay? And he's like, no. And Tyrion's like, okay, well, that's probably good.
Good, yeah. Does he call for Oberyn or something? Like,
no.
I felt like he called. Oh no, he called for someone that was already a witness, or maybe something like that.
Varys.
That's right. Varys,
Varys.
If he dares, he said he was like,
he's
Varys,
like, I'm not holding out hope for that, but would he? And he's like, no, he's already been called for the Queen's stand. And Tyrion's like, all right, well, how about my brother? Will they let me speak to my brother? And Pod's like, yeah, I'll see if I can do that. And he also warns Pod to be aware of his surroundings and watch out for they. Who's they? They, the ominous they, Pod. They're watching, like, be careful.
Yeah, like Tyrion goes down this little like detective kind of Sherlock moment. He's like, my sister, has ever,
She's the only one I am fully certain did not have anything to do with this murder, which is rare as far as King's Landing murders go.
This is a good scene. I'm glad it's getting the nod for it.
There's another one that feels like, okay, well, that's a good fucking scene, and it was hard not to go with it, but I'd already chosen this, and I decided to show that scene love in a different capacity. But I adored this moment, mostly because it was just sweet, man. We don't get a lot of just nice moments, and I know it's out of hopelessness. It is in a place where it's like, we don't have many options. We don't have anywhere to turn, but just know that I fucking love you, dog. Like you're my guy, and you've rode for me this whole fucking time. I appreciate you. Mm-hmm. That shit's so cool, Here, just Pod to get out of King's Landing, as he would be in much danger due to the close relations with Tyrion, especially after refusing to testify. He's like, have you given them an answer? And he's like, not yet, my lord. And then he's like, okay, well, he's like, I'm lying. I absolutely did. I told them no. I told them to fuck off. No, I'm not doing it. He's like, God damn it, Podrick. If I'm going to get fucking executed, I don't want to see your head already up there, man. That's not what I'm here for. He's like, get the fuck out of the city. And Tyrion calls back to him as he's about to leave and tells him, Podrick, there has never lived a more loyal squire.
Might be my line. I have one other one that's up for debate, but that one was just, a bittersweet,
Yeah,
moment.
It's a good one, man.
Well, Pod, he's like, this is goodbye. Like, and he just it didn't feel right, how they left. Like, Tyrion's like, that didn't feel right. Like, they're leaving, and he's like, I have to say something. Something has to be said. You could kind of tell it was kind of like, and it was the closest to I love you that they'll give each other, and it was just seeing Pod's little smile, and then walking out.
He's like choking back tears during this scene. It's fucking cute, man. I loved it. It was a pretty easy choice at this point in the episode to go with it. I was like, I have no doubt about it at that point. And then there's the end scene is pretty strong, but I had a tough time. I was like, you know what? That'll get its love. I'll figure it out. But
it will. Yeah, well,
I figured. But we are then in the Riverlands, where Arya Stark and the Hound are crossing the Riverlands and are spotted by a farmer and his young daughter while making their way to the Vale, where Arya can be ransomed to her rich aunt Lysa. And Arya quickly fabricates a story that the Hound and she are a father and daughter, with Clegane as a knight in the service of House Tully. And the farmer believes it. He's like, "All right, dub, y'all want to stay the night and get a nice meal or whatever?" And they're like, yeah, for sure, no doubt."
Mm-hmm.
And they attack the food essentially that they are given.
Yeah, this poor farmer.
They go full fantastic Mr. Fox.
Like giving his little pre-meal prayer, praying to each one of the 7 gods, and then the Hound just, "Are you gonna praise all 7 of the fucks or whatever?" He just throws in there, and Arya's like, "Dad," has to be like, "Come on."
Excuse him. He hasn't been the same since the war.
Yeah, and is this, so I remember there was one.
Yeah, this is them.
This is who they come back to. And it's
when they come back and they're like all bones, sitting in the corner on the bed with like a knife in their hand because he put his daughter out of her misery instead of letting her starve. Yeah, it's these two.
Wow. And I was wondering, I was like, if they did have this, because I guess I had the idea that he killed them here. That instead of just stealing, and leaving, for some reason I remembered it as like he killed them here, and I'm like, well, that doesn't really make much sense. Like they come back and maybe just no one moved their bodies because no one came into this house. But this makes a lot more sense and makes the moment hit a lot more when they come back and see him.
Well, also given the fact that the Hound has evolved a lot by the time he comes back. He spends his time with that village where he becomes not religious, but he befriends like a High Septon of sorts, and and he's grown attachments that he recognizes are more important than survival, and he's like, okay. And then he comes back and he's like, man, I really fucked this situation up, huh? He says,
if they just had a little bit of silver on them that they could have
bought their way out. They could have got somewhere. But yeah, Clegane, he doesn't handle the situation the best, and Arya wakes the following morning to hear the farmer's daughter screaming. And the Hound has assaulted the farmer and taken his silver. Confused and a little bit frightened, Arya demands to know why he did that. And he simply states, he'll be dead when winter comes. A dead man doesn't need his silver. And they don't survive the winter. He didn't have that wrong.
No, they don't. Yeah, I don't know. Like, the Arya, obviously.
Job and everything. Like,
I know. Yeah, he's like, did the most for the Hound and Arya right here. Like, just taking him in instantly, feeding him, being like, hey, actually, I have a job for you too, and don't have much, but like, I'll pay you what I can. And then just boom, instantly. And Arya's obviously like, dude, what are you doing? Like,
the fuck is your problem, man?
What the hell? And like, you get the Hound side where he's like, I just know how the world works, and I'm just the only one who's tough enough to see it, or what? Like, you get that
I'm
point.
One with clarity of purpose.
But yeah, I don't know. The Hound, that's a storyline that we were talking about, like per capita, of like how Pedro just dominates when he comes in. But the Hound is one that's kind of spread out, but a very, very good storyline.
Consistent.
Hold on, yeah.
Same with like Davos. There's a few of them where it's like, you come back to him and you're like, I like that guy, But we then head very briefly to Dragonstone, wherein Stannis learns of and informs Davos of Joffrey Baratheon's death. He's like, yeah, you remember? Said some words and threw a leech over a fire. Now he's fucking dead with bastard's bloods. With bastard's blood. A bastard you let go. The fuck, man?
So is he, like, I was a little confused at this point. He was like, like he was kind of bragging that he's like, yeah, I did that. Like I threw the leech in the fire. I'm the one who did that. But now that the bastard's not dead, there's nothing we can do with that. So like, why was he? Because I thought the whole idea was that, like, to make this blood sacrifice actually happen, they needed to kill Gendry. to make these people die or whatever.
I think what they did, I think they felt was enough to kill the Kings. But right now, he doesn't have any means to march on King's Landing anyway. Like, he doesn't have the army he needs. He doesn't have anything. So he's like, if we had that bastard, maybe I could make some other sacrifice that would bring me wealth and goods. Because they're out of money. They don't have the army. They don't have shit. So if they could make another sacrifice...
Okay, I was wondering if he was like blaming why he's in the position he's in, why he doesn't have an army, why he doesn't have all of this because they didn't kill Gendry. Like maybe they do this blood sacrifice, they kill Gendry because they need such a,
Yeah, it's definitely partially that. He's definitely blaming it on that in part because he lays into Davos. He's like, "How you doing coming up with that army, huh?" And he's like, "Well, I summoned this house." He's like, "Oh yeah, that house." And I summoned these guys. "Oh yeah, these guys." And then also these guys. "Oh yeah, those guys. Yeah, for sure." They couldn't raid a pantry between the three of them. And Davos was like, "I'm going to figure it out. I'm trying my best, man. I'm sorry that I didn't want you to kill an innocent boy. Hard to feel bad about this situation right now. I'm pretty confident in my choices, Stannis."
They always know how to shoot that room too. Like the weather in the background is always something
on point.
I don't know. Yeah, it's like just pouring down rain and just Stannis. I don't know. He's another kind of one of those characters that he's surprising me every time he comes up on screen. I'm like, man, I really didn't give Stannis any.
Yeah, he's consistent, man.
Whatever at all, but I mean, like, it's just kind of more sad. He's
in the show for like 5 seasons and some change. Like, he's around for a long time.
Yeah, I guess he's the closest to the actual. I mean, he does have a pretty good claim right now.
He actually has the only legitimate claim after Robert's death.
Yeah. Yeah, this is true. So, I mean,
because all the kids who become king are not Robert's kids.
Nope.
So he does have the most legitimate claim if you think Robert was the rightful king, but because Robert usurped the throne, then it would probably be Aegon or Daenerys or whatever the fuck. So like right now it's actually the rightful king and queen. If the Targaryen dynasty were to have continued, there's a really good chance that Jon and Daenerys would have been married out of like the continuance of the bloodline.
Dang. Yeah, that's crazy to think about. If Robert didn't come in and wipe out the Targaryen dynasty, however, I mean, I just really want to see how that happened. Like that'd be a really cool sequence to watch unfold.
It would be.
But yeah, no. This little like Davos. I don't know. You're right. Everything with Davos is nice.
He is. He's a great character, man. And then Davos heads down for his reading lessons with Shireen, and Shireen's like, "Where the fuck have you been? You aren't reading enough. You need to read more." And he's like, "I'm trying, man. I got a lot on my plate, dog." And she's like, "Fucking read."
Another one of my maybe lines that I was debating on is, "You won't be a very good hand if you see the word knight and say Knigget."
Yeah, that happened 2 weeks ago. It was. I'm so far past that. Like I love the way he like honestly defends himself in that moment. He's like, "Come on,
man,
that's a low blow."
Your father's daughter. You both are just a piece of work. You know that? Yeah. He's like, I don't know. I love just their Shireen and Davos, man. That's the
top tier
light. There's not many good relationships in the show, but man, this one's very good. And she even harps on him like, no one's gonna take you seriously if you read with your mouth moving like that too, dude.
Children do it, and he's like, "All right."
He's like,
you can like see his jaw working as he's like,
"Oh, it's so."
I love it. I love it. But he reads successfully, and in doing so, and explaining that he was not a pirate, he was a smuggler. There's a big difference, and I was actually in Braavos once, and I got into a scrap with the first sword of Braavos, and he didn't like me explaining the difference between pirating and smuggling any more than your father did, But I suppose if you work for the Iron Bank of Braavos and you have and he has like this dawning of realization, he's like, "Oh shit, I need you to write something. She's like, you really should write it. It's good practice. He's like, it is way too important for me to write it. You need to write it.
Can you imagine the Iron Bank gets a letter? Is it the Iron Bank or is it the Gold Cloaks that he's writing?
Iron Bank, yeah.
Yeah, the Iron Bank. And can you imagine they get a letter and there's like some spelling mistakes and like just the handwriting just kind of all over the place, and it's like
he's got a K that's like backwards at some point, and like
Stannis, like this.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess yeah. I forgot. I remember the Iron Bank got involved somehow, and I remember, I don't know, like the Gold Cloaks coming over and just getting wiped out is kind of what I remember. But I forgot, like that seemed like that was very later on, like in the like.
It is.
Yeah, but forgot.
I can't remember if we visit the Iron Bank of Bravos before the end of this season. I know that we will in season 5.
Yeah,
because
like skinny head dude, kind of like, or
Yeah.
like weird looking, kind of like. Are they human? I don't know. Maybe I just remember that one guy looked a little weird. Maybe I'm confusing it with like a Harry Potter scene or something.
I think you're convincing it with the banking clan in Star Wars. They have very skinny heads and are
Maybe
not
that's
human.
it, yeah. It didn't feel right. But I remember like someone walking into like the Iron Bank or something and just like massive, like, and there's like 5 or so people like up on top of like in some booths or something like that. I don't know. And they're like trying to make a deal. Is that Game of Thrones or is that also something else?
No, the Iron Bank, if I remember correctly, the Iron Bank is pretty, it's kind of just like any other setup we've seen, where they have like a high table and there's like 3 of them.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm thinking of something else then. I don't know what, but man.
What you're speaking to reminds me of like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull a little bit, Indiana Jones 4. Big Star Wars vibes though. A lot of Star Wars coming off you right now, as far as I can recall.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing the Iron Bank now. Yeah, not what I was thinking whatsoever. Or the Gold Cloaks, is that like the army that the Iron Bank uses to like to go out, but like they're still not like, are they actually like one and the same, or are they just the Iron Bank?
The Golden Company. I don't think that they are one and the same. They're just kind of always at the beck and call of the Iron Bank of Bravos.
Okay.
But nevertheless, we will get to the Iron Bank before the end of the season, because Stannis and Davos travel there. So we'll get to Bravos before the end of the end of this season.
Nice. That's actually fun.
I like something to look forward to there.
Yeah.
But we then head to the north, wherein a village south of the wall is attacked by raiding wildlings, and a young boy watches the attack begin as Ygritte launches an arrow into the heart of his father, and thus she is signed her death certificate and Jon's unknowingly, as this kid kills both of them at some point.
Yep. That was like on first watch, you probably were like, oh, it's just some, you don't know who this kid is.
Fucking Ollie, man.
Whatsoever. And then it's at the grace of a cannibal wildling that lets him, that lets him get away, that eventually is who...
the way to Castle Black.
Jon Snow, yeah, it's like, who puts the final dagger in his heart, and it's like, man, what a like a line this kid goes on,
Yeah.
like, just seeing
him hung as a traitor.
Yep. Can't discriminate, I guess, there, I mean, everyone saw it, I mean, everyone was there to see that. And they, yeah, poor kid. I mean,
but this does also explain why he had such deep beef with Jon, Jon makes friends with the wildlings, brings them south of the wall, and this guy watched them murder his family brutally.
That was sad how they played it out too. Like his dad was like, they were having like a walking back to their hut or whatever, and he's like, "Yeah, no, your mom, like the way she wrangles or something, telling just like a memory or something they had, and then just dead." And he's like,
I'm going to eat your mama, and I am going to eat your papa.
I get it. I get why this kid hates the fuck out of wildlings, because the only wildlings he has seen are the cannibal ones, and they ate their parents. So, like, you know what?
It's rough.
Ollie,
It's rough.
I guess, I still hate you for stabbing John. I don't think you should.
Oh, no, Ollie's a piece of shit. I get it, but he's one of those characters where you're just like, God damn it, this fucking kid eventually,
This kid, like,
it's hard, and it's kind of heartbreaking, whenever he kills Egret, you're kind of like, oh no, oh Jesus, shit, cause it's a war, it's the wildlings versus the Night's Watchmen. So it's like, okay, well, he just shot a wildling. John even turns around and Ollie's like he thinks he'll be proud of him for that. He's like, yeah, you see, like, I can do this. I can fight.
No.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Part of me.
But then for him to kill the woman that John loves, and then John still take him under his wing and teach him everything he can. Buddy, I fucking hate this kid.
Yeah. No, part of I don't wish it on anybody ever. And
no.
Maybe he should have been eaten with his parents. Maybe that would have been better. Maybe they just let him go because he wouldn't
have got the epic stories that we end up getting. So I'll take it.
We don't get John coming back to life.
Yeah, we don't get John leaving the wall because his watch has technically ended.
Big brain, maybe
Ollie. He was doing that meme, like, hey, okay.
Yeah. So Ollie, we hate you still fully, but I guess you set the events in motion.
We get it. I guess. But we'll then head to Castle Black, where Samwell fears for the safety of Gilly and moves her to Molestown, where the Night's Watch brothers indulge their bodily vices, and Sam is resolute in keeping Gilly safe. That part where she's like, "What? Are you bored of me? Bored of you? And he was going to be like, I love you, dog, but he can't say that yet. He doesn't feel right about it. He's like, I just want to protect you."
Back to doing whatever Gilly was expecting it fully there too.
Yeah.
Nope. It was kind of like a sexual question though. Kind of at the same time. It was kind of like a, do you love me? But also, what do you picture at night, Sam?
What do you
off of? He's like, 100 guys, one woman, like, you don't know what's going through their heads. And she's like, oh, they have so much else to worry about. And Sam's like, it's
you really don't know
thing that they're thinking about. I can promise you. And she's like,
oh, is that right?
Yeah. She's like, what are you thinking about then? Huh? What do you go to sleep thinking about? So I don't know. She kind of maybe wanted two answers she was expecting, and she got none. Really.
Yeah.
So,
no, yeah, there's clearly they're basically already a married couple without any of the things that come with being married beyond having a child together.
I already named the kid after him.
When did that happen, by the way?
And whenever they got back, it was in front of Aemond, I think.
Gotcha.
And
she just decided his name was Sam in that moment. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's right.
What's the name for the baby? And he looked at her like, well, I don't think. And she's like, his name is Sam. And so I think
that's sweet. That's sweet. I forgot about that.
I didn't just see it in a clip.
No. That's a thing. That's a thing that happened. You're right. For some reason, I remembered it being like a moment, but I think it was just kind of dropped in there, and Sam was kind of like, oh shit, dope.
I think it happened. I might have seen it on Twitter
because they just
that it hasn't happened yet in the rewatch, and I just so happened to see.
No, she says his name is Sam at Molestown. But it's
right.
It's just kind of sprinkled in there. She's like, "What's the baby's name?" It's Sam.
Mm-hmm. That's
and I'm like, well, I know that wasn't it. It already had to have happened. Like that. That was my thing. As I was like it. Because that was the first time I recalled hearing it, so maybe I just kind of tuned out for the part earlier. But
sure, it's Sam. Yeah, because Sam's like, no, I promise you, it's not what it looks like. Whatever. He was worried that Amy was going to be like,
are you the father of this child? Yeah,
I think it was during that moment.
Yeah, it was. I think you're right. But regardless, he's trying to keep Gilly safe, and he wants her to, cook, clean, whatever, that she won't be touched, etc. I can find her other work. No, you won't. You will not find her other. She's like, I can give you a cut. You could be the pimp in this situation. And he's like, no, I won't. That's not something I'm going to do. I love this woman and I'd prefer her body not be defiled by other brothers of the Night's Watch, which I know is your primary clientele.
I get that, like, her responsibilities are just to look after the babies and, like, you know, and do just whatever. But, like, she's in, like, the same building that all of these Night's Watchmen come to, like, indulge and, like, actually do the thing that they're not supposed to do, you know?
Right.
It was just I get what he's doing, you know?
Yeah, it's a combination of things. He doesn't want to set her up so far away that he can't come visit her
That's true.
routinely. But he doesn't want to put her in a place, you know, like it truly is the best place for her at this moment, I guess.
Castle Black. Like, I was thinking, like, at Castle Black, she really is the only woman there.
Yeah.
And, like, that's probably just a matter of time. You know, like, it's surprising that it hasn't happened already while she's been there. So, that, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that isn't actually the safest place. I was thinking, like, yeah, no, just stay in Castle Black and be...
I feel like most of the good Castle Black guys are left because they didn't, you know, I feel like most of the really bad ones did the mutiny and stayed out at Craster's Keep. Sure. I mean, they're not, obviously there's a lot of shitty dudes all over the place.
Yeah, they open, whenever it's like the first shot in Castle, they're like, yep, raper, thief, thief and raper. Yeah. Right, like they were just going down the line. So like you just saw really how, like, even at Castle Black, it's like, it's kind of falling apart. Like everyone's, like, all their thing that they stood for, like it's gone. You know, they're just 100 men now. You know, I guess, which is that's scary.
Yeah, but having received word of the Wildlings' raids down south, the Lord Commander states that they do not have the manpower to afford venturing away from the wall. The acting Lord Commander and what's his fuck?
What is his name? Yeah.
Alistair Thorne.
Thorne. That could Thorne in my eye. I'll remember him that way.
Thorne in my side. All right. But they're interrupted during this conversation when horns blow, and it signals riders returning, and they're interrupted as Ed and Gren return. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, Ed and Gren are alive. I didn't forgot they weren't here.
Yeah. I guess that. Oh, I didn't think about that. That didn't hit me. They're like, yeah, I kind of forgot they were there, but glad to see him back, though.
Yeah, no, it just kind of speaks to how much is going on in this show. You know, like you're like, oh yeah, these guys, fuck yeah, all right, glad they're cool.
Like how many different tiers of characters there are. There's like the Daenerys, the Jon, Jon. Like, I don't know if he's quite reached that level yet of like absolute main character. Do you think? I mean, he's kind of.
I'd say if you're going to Castle Black and you're going north of the wall, he's a main character. You know, like he's the one.
Story, that's for sure. Yeah. That's without a doubt. But I was wondering if, like, at this moment, do you put him at the same level as like
Daenerys, Jaime and Cersei, Tyrion, and everyone going on? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe not. This maybe barely a step down, but because
like of the Starks, I'd say Sansa is like the most
prevalent
main-ish character. Arya would probably be the second, and then Jon, right? Well, yeah, I don't know. Jon might have done. I don't know. That is interesting. But anyway, needless to say is that like Ed and Gren were like actual supporting roles, like that you would say normally in a show that like this is like just a small little supporting role for this character. Like this is like. I don't know. A
truly supporting role, you know, because like Jorah and Davos are supporting roles.
That's true. Yeah.
Ed and Gren are supportive roles.
Yeah. They're supporting the support.
Yeah. And they do a good job. I love Ed and Gren, but they've escaped Craster's Keep where they were prisoners, and Jon reveals he's like, shit, they're still there, huh? And he's like, yeah. He's like, all right, well, I got to tell you guys something. I told the Wildlings we had 1,000 men. which is why they haven't attacked yet. If they get to Craster's Keep, and they find out that we only have about 100, we're fucked. They're going to attack then. I bought us some time. And I like that, like, through this, you can tell that everyone's kind of like, well, yeah, that was the right thing to do. Like, he put them off, kept them away for a longer period of time, tried to buy them time. And even Alistair Thorne can't be mad at this revelation, which he always tries to find something bad about what Jon does.
Usually there's like, some callback or something, to challenge Jon, but they're like, well, this guy's just an undoubted, like, he's just the leader, he is like, he's just that guy. Yeah. Everyone listens to him whenever they talk. And I don't know, he even like kind of, I think, did it happen earlier? I was trying to think, like, he actually is like, you, Jon Snow, you were, whatever. What do you think about this situation?
Yeah. You, Jon Snow, champion of the people.
Yeah. Like, even went to him, he's like, kind of in like a snarky way, but at the same time.
He was like, he's a valid guy to ask. He had to ask him in a way that was like demeaning. Yeah. But he had to ask him. He's like, you are the one who spent the time with the wildlings. You know what we should do. Like, what do you think? And he's like, yeah, we definitely shouldn't do that. He's like, aha, exactly what I thought.
Yeah, but man, Ed and Grin talking about like the horror stories of what's going on at Craster's Keep, though. Like they were like the daughters, like never did they think that they would miss their father. Like, and like already like, holy shit. And then like they were like slaves or like in chains themselves there because they weren't part, like, oh my god. I think you warned me about that guy too, the guy who took over for Craster.
Yeah, Rast and Carl.
Yeah, I think and I didn't quite get why yet, but he killed
the guy who used to make fun of Sam and be like, you piggy, oink oink, we're gonna eat you, like he used to really fuck with him. And he also is the one who stuck a knife in Gior's back.
That's right. That's what I like thought it ended at. I thought it ended there. I'm like, oh, they killed Lord Commander Mormont. I'm like, yeah, it's over. That's they suck.
This raid, the party they put together to go to Craster's Keep, that scene when they get there is one of my favorite Night's Watch scenes ever. Fucking love that.
I can't believe I don't know. I can remember.
We get one of the cool, like, there's so many cool sword fights throughout this show that you kind of like, there's some that are naturally going to fall to the wayside. And the one that happens there is one of them where you're like, oh, when you watch it, you'll go, oh, that was fucking cool. Like it's gnarly, but,
I'm ready. Yeah, I'm ready.
They're like, yeah, we got to go up there and kill them or else Mance will get to them first. So let's do it. But that concludes the story at the Wall, and then we head to Meereen, where in Slaver's Bay we see Daenerys Targaryen marching on the city as she begins her siege, and she is faced with a champions duel where a riding knight of Meereen challenges her to choose a champion that will fight for her. Grey Worm volunteers. No, you are the leader of the Unsullied. Jorah volunteers. No, you are my trusted guide and best friend. I cannot have that happen. Barristan volunteers. No, you are Queen's Guard. And Daario Naharis is like, well, then it seems there is one obvious choice. And I appreciate that they felt the need to work through all of these logical points for us.
It was clear.
One of those screenwriting moments where I'm like, maybe D&D don't really got it like that,
No, maybe it was actually Daenerys. She knew it was Daario already, but she didn't make Jorah feel instantly jealous by going like, all right, Daario, get out here, kill this guy. Because, if she went instantly to him, it would kind of, I don't know. I feel like she needed the excuse to actually go with Daario.
And she also needed Daario to volunteer for it,
That's, true. He had to, obviously, she knew that.
Yeah.
Come on. Like,
he steps up and she's like, oh, yes, this is the choice. Let's do this shit. She's like, yep, go kill him for me real quick. That guy like pulls out his dick and like pisses, and he's like, what is he doing? Barristan's like, oh, I think he means to. Starts pissing. He mounts his horse, starts charging. Daenerys is like, you sure you don't want a horse? And He's like, no, I'm good. I'm good. He's like, she's like, well, horses are faster than men. He goes, horses are dumber than men. And she's like, hey, all right. And they watch as this man just,
yeah. I'll back up, and then like I'll back up a little more. Maybe the horse is getting really close, and like you're not doing anything. Like I love the tension that was building the whole time.
He like turns around, like this is literally nothing to Dario. He turns around, looks at her, winks, and he's like, "Yeah, I got this shit." Pulls out his knife, gives it a kiss, throws it straight through the horse's eye, which falls, and then he cleanly cuts this dude's head off. I assume. Mm-hmm. Takes his dick out and pisses at everyone there.
I mean, I guess if there's anyone to give Oberyn a run for their money for like the character, it might be Dario. But
Dario's pretty cold.
The whole time I was watching this scene, I was wondering how would the other Dario do this? Because I feel like this Dario is a little more dirty. Not in a bad way, but like he doesn't mind if it's a little messy, you know, like
right.
this killing, you know, like it had to happen this way. It's just how it had, you know, whatever. But I felt like the other Dario, the previous actor, I felt like he would have done this cleaner somehow. I don't know. But I was trying to picture like
the je ne sais quoi that he would have brought to this kill. That would have been, he probably would have just thrown the dagger straight through the guy's eye.
And then like, rode the horse off or like petted, you know, the calm horse, and then
he would have protected the horse by any means necessary.
Or like walked it back to Daenerys, being like, "Here, like another
new horse, my queen,
for your army." Yeah, like I don't know, like I didn't need a horse, but I have one now. I don't need something quippy or you know something like that. But no, this was still clean. That's for sure. Like in Game of Thrones, this was a pretty Thrones scene here.
Yeah,
like it doesn't get more Thrones than this. And I mean, when I got here, I was like, okay, well this is my favorite scene of the episode. I had to just go back. I had to go back and be like, wait, did anything beat this? And then as I'm watching, I'm like, no. I was like, man, this is just too good, you know? Because I mean, it's kind of the whole package. You get the badass combat and everything out of Thrones. But the part that I actually liked more was like the back and forth of Daenerys and like speaking to Meereen, like just the whole like city standing there and like them feel, you know, at first they feeling like they had total control of the situation. They were there to watch, like entertainment for them before, like, were they just planning on fighting her no matter what? Because like they had like. Or was this just like a entertainment show that they do, and then they were going to like take her in and actually talk? Or was this?
No, I think they were hoping that Daenerys had enough honor that if her champion goes down, that she'd leave, that she'd skip the city.
Okay, yeah, I guess knowing Daenerys, like I just know she's not taking no for an answer. So like
so it was a pointless gesture on Meereen's part. Nothing would have gone their way.
But man, when she turns it on him and is just like, you know, I'm not here for whatever. I'm here just to give you guys a choice. Like when she just starts speaking to the slave, like
that's Emilia Clarke is the performance of the episode. With ease when she begins presenting, as it were, you know, I went to Astapor. Those who were in chains are now behind me, free. Mm-hmm. I went to Yunkai. Those who were slaves are now behind me, free. And then the face she makes when she goes, and now I'm in Meereen. You know, it's like, you know, I was like, okay, that was easy. It was that single choice when she said that. And not to mention, she's saying it in Valyrian, which is a made up language.
Not even real. Yeah, what the fuck? That's incredible. You know,
cause she's cocky as fuck here. You know, like she's like, this is the first time we've seen her truly like, we've known she's been like, oh, you can't fuck with me, you know, and she's kept that to herself though. Like internally, she's been like, oh, these motherfuckers don't know what they're about to get into, you know. Oh, they're treating me like this. They don't know what it is. They'll see though. They'll see. Mm-hmm. Now she's like, and now I'm here.
Yeah.
What do you think's gonna happen now?
That's true. I guess I was thinking like maybe they disrespected her a little too hard this time, but like she's been disrespected equally as much everywhere she's been. Like
Yeah.
this wasn't really too much for her to handle. This is really just her being like,
this is another
right.
par for the course. She's just kind of like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna do it to y'all then.
Yeah, this is like her like Michael Jordan, I'm back.
Well, and it was all very showy too, like there was a different energy here. Whenever she presented the cannon fire and it was barrels full of broken chains, it's like,
yeah,
she's letting them know, like, this is what's about to happen. Y'all can do it. Let's do this. And when one of the enslaved peoples picks up the broken chains and is like, okay, hell yeah. And then we cut to black. I was like, oh, that's about to be hard. That's about to be hard. I can't wait for that fucking scene, man. It's
yeah, I was thinking about going with Charles Dance for the performance because I was like spreading the love because I knew this was already getting my scene. But I think she has to get the sweep here for performance because that was kind of nuts. Mentioned like
she
realizing that was Valyrian, like that wasn't English, that wasn't even Spanish. Not an actual known language where inflection and like you can. I don't know, like she has to make it seem cocky, like in a made up language. Like I don't know,
it's her facial acting, man. She's incredible. And like from the get-go, there was kind of this I think Emilia Clarke is just a wonderful actress and also a wonderful looking woman. So when she like arrived to the city riding her horse, and it's kind of this upward angle where she's high above everything. It's like they are cueing you in visually and everything to the idea that this woman is the queen. Like she's the shit.
There's no question like about her rule. Like
when she does the like squinty eyes and she contorts her eyebrows like that and she's like, and now I'm in Marine. I'm like, okay, yep, she's the shit. Love me some Emilia Clarke. And that puts her up to 10 performance nods out of the now 33 choices that we've had, or 66 in total, because
two of us
double it, I suppose.
All right, but yeah, no, I can't. Sorry, Charles Dance. I loved your performance in this. It was great. Tom and with Pedro, but no, this was kind of undeniable for the episode.
Right here is astronomical.
Because it is my favorite scene because of that that is a large part of the reason that it is the favorite scene. So yeah,
she was cold as fuck in that. That part. It was incredible. But I think that concludes the episode. It's kind of it.
That is the ending there.
What are we feeling? We got a rating to give, I believe. Methinks.
I'd say enjoyment on first initial. I was like, well, this is probably a step down. It wasn't quite up to the gravitas of it all, but it's a different kind of enjoyment for this episode. It's not. It didn't need Joffrey dying or anything. This is very slow, checking in with the characters. And that can, I guess, only take it so far, But everything that happened was done very well, and it wasn't, I don't know, just a very nice check-in with, and a very nice way to usher us into like this new reign, like into what's going to happen after Joffrey dies across the Game of Thrones universe.
Yeah, we're in brand new territory. Joffrey's been the king since season 1.
Yeah. We really needed a breather, a time to be like, okay, wait, things are going to get a lot different here. Like, we don't have that piece of shit on the throne anymore. To really just sit with that. And, I don't know, because even in the last scene, like Daenerys, like, usually we see the action, or at least someone die, or like her dragons start some fire, or like fights start to break out, but it's just building the tension. That's like what this episode is doing, like for the season. And it's episode 3, but it felt like it's almost beginning a new season, like a finale, like we said, like it felt like after the penultimate episode. So I don't know. I think I'm not necessarily up to like the 9.75 or that.
No, I don't even know that I'm quite at a 9.
Yeah.
I thought it was a goodie. But there are certain things in this episode that I unquestionably do not like.
It's also true. Yeah.
Very rarely do I have things during the episode where I go, that was a bad choice. I actively dislike that. That doesn't happen a lot, and so when it does happen, I've got to reflect that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like my floor, like there was enough to kind of make up for it other places in the episode, I think. But not enough that it shouldn't get a little ding for it, just because it just felt so out of character at this point in the time. At this point in time, for Jamie, I felt Cersei's response was as you would expect it to be.
That's like it's going to get a dink on enjoyment and critically for that one decision. Like it should.
It's a bad choice.
Yeah. Let's see. What's the lowest we've ever given any episode?
Enjoyment wise, I gotta guess it was an 8.
There's a 7, episode 3 of season 1. Gave a 7.
Yeah, just a little boring.
That's probably the lowest.
Yeah, it's definitely the lowest. I think the next lowest after that is an 8.
Mm-hmm. Yes, episode 4, Garden of Bones, season 2.
That's the one where Joffrey forces the ladies to torture each other. Similar footing for me. 8.25 maybe, just a little bump above it because there was enough in the other stuff of the episode that was pretty cool. I did enjoy. Like I said, loved Oberyn's scenes. Loved Emilia Clarke's scene. The stuff at the wall is building to a point where you're like, okay, we're getting there now, and it's exciting on a rewatch to know where we're heading. So I think an 8.25 might be where I end up coming down on this one.
I like that. No, I can agree. I think we might have an 8.25 in there somewhere. No, I don't think we do. I think this is the first 8.25.
Hey.
But no, I think it kind of makes sense. Like it did have a lot else to it, but man, yeah, that one scene just if it didn't have that at all, if that scene was differently, this is pretty good.
Yeah,
not missing a whole lot, but yeah, I like 8.25.
Yeah, no, and critically, I don't think it stands out visually in any particular capacity. I thought it was a good looking episode, but kind of par for the course for what Game of Thrones looks like. It's not like it's a standout, which we do have standouts, so like hard to say that it's as good as those. A pretty blatant mischaracterization, in my opinion, at some point throughout this episode, which makes me give it an even bigger dismissal. It was on the whole, the story of it was written pretty well. But even so, like that part where Daenerys works through her 4 most trusted advisors and is like, well, here's why I'm not picking you. Here's why I'm not picking you. Here's why I'm not picking you.
Could have been
that's not sound screenwriting, like it's fine. It gets the job done. I get what they're doing, but you don't need to justify shit like that to us.
I feel like even if that's written in the book, it's not actually Daenerys saying that. It's like
internal.
It's like the internal, like obviously I can't go with him.
If they all step up at the same time, if they're all like, I'll do it. Look at Dario and go, it's going to be Dario. He's the obvious choice. You do this, you do this, you do this. He's good. Go ahead. We don't need to take 2.5 to 3 minutes to go, oh, well, my queen, I will gladly step forth. No, my queen. How about me? Nope, and here's why. I just thought that, like, this was one of those ones where D&D really showed their chops. They really showed their potential.
Okay.
This might, I didn't think this coming into it, might be amongst the worst episodes critically.
I was gonna say, like, I was thinking around like a 7, and we haven't given anything a 7. yet. The lowest critically, yeah, it's an
7 with
8.
Garden of Bones.
Is it? Oh yeah, wow. So, I maybe it's even, I don't know. Is it lower than a 7? Can you really give a Throne? I mean, like,
I don't think I can. I don't know that I'd go that.
7 something maybe, or are you 8 something?
I don't know. I think 7's probably fair. I don't think it was I don't think it was stand out in any particular way. I thought it was solid. It got the job done. And again, 7 is good. It's not like it's, for Thrones, it's not good, but 7 out of 10 is 70%, which on typical scales is still good.
This got on IMDb. Wonder how 8.7. Wow. I guess for the rest of the season, that's in the high 9s, right? Like, or is it 9?
Like half the season is a 9.6 or higher or something like that.
Yeah. So I guess that is quite the dip for this season, but yeah, I don't know. I think I'm like around a 7 or 7.25. It's like where I'm at, but I was comfortable. My gut was 7.
Hey, I'm cool with that. I don't mind that.
So that brings it out to a 7.42 on average, even with
Which I gotta think makes it the worst episode of the show so far.
Yes,
by our scale.
7.67 would be maybe the closest, which was Garden of Bones,
Tied with Lord Snow.
Mm-hmm. And that was, I guess, even I was gonna say it was with the genre rating in there, but Lord Snow was given an 8 for the genre, so it's basically the same actual rating system that we have. It's actually the legit score.
Weighted.
And then what was the other one? And almost the same for Garden of Bones, just opposite. It'd be like the weight would be flipped the opposite direction, where enjoyment was more
gotcha
a factor. So I guess not quite there, but if we do a 7.33 would be where Garden of Bones would be.
So Garden of Bones would technically still be the crown champ, but still, I think it's fair. There are misses, and that's the thing is that when you get accustomed to a show quite as good as this, whenever they do things that aren't as good, there's no doubt about it. You see it and you go, that's a bad choice. Like you've been so fucking good about this, and all of a sudden you weren't, and that stands out.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that shows just how much like a couple things can affect an episode. Like because it was literally one scene that ruined enjoyment in any capacity, and it was 1.5 scenes that affected it critically. And that's enough to make it go, well, this episode isn't as perfect as every other episode.
As far as like rewatch enjoyment, this one decision really dwindled my rewatch, like ability. Like, I don't know, I was really rooting for Jamie this watch, and I was really interested in his story. And then now it's just kind of like, well, all right.
Some to lose some,
But yeah, I think it's low for Thrones. I mean, it's still 7.42, almost a 75%.
Not horrendous.
This was just it was a solid episode. And that's all I can I don't know really say. But no Hodors. I didn't realize. Yeah, and that's probably why it sucked. Really.
Yeah.
No Hodors, and Arya didn't kill anyone. So no addition to the kill list. No Hodors, but a 7.42 at the end. Which
damn shame.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, I think we will conclude this episode of Winter is Blooming. If you would, head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, including something new up there today. I can't remember what it was. I tend to schedule things out. Let me check that for you real quick. But I know that we've had, today was the ideal small council.
Aha.
I scheduled an episode last week where if you're a Game of Thrones fan, we went through what we would use to make our favorite or ideal small council: a king or queen, hand of the king, master of war, Master of Laws, Master of Whisperers, Master of Ships, Lord Commander of the King's Guard, Lord Commander of the City Watch, a Grand Maester. And we took that from anywhere in fiction. We made our own. We did a Star Wars specific one, which was very fun. It was a fun episode. It's a behemoth over there. You'll have plenty of time to chip away at that. Last week we began early access for Patreon. If you're into comic book movies, Catwoman was published last Friday, and it won't be out for another 2 weeks on the regular show here. And then this Friday we'll be sure to deliver you Blade Trinity, which is going to be fun. I wrote an article last week about the magnificence of Raiders of the Lost Ark. I'm very excited for Dial of Destiny, and I wanted to write a little bit, so I wrote a little bit about Raiders. So we got a lot of Patreon stuff, a lot of stuff coming up. When July rolls around, I'm actually going to publish my first little work of fiction that I've been working on over there, and I believe I recently added tiers where the $1 tier or $1.50 tier, it's called the 150 pennies tier because Penny Bloom, you get it. It gets you all the written reviews for that first bottom tier. But that will not include fictional works, and it will not include any future audio content we give out. It does have access to all the audio content that came out prior to 2023, which is a lot. There's a lot of audio content over there from before 2023, but if you want any future audio content and fictional works and everything you get on the bottom tier, bump it up to $3 a month, where you can support this podcast financially, which is a huge help because it costs me money. And I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. And like I said, I worked on a short story. It's called Him and Her, and it's going to be up on July 1st. It's going to be the first thing of the new pay period. Kind of hoping to usher in some folks and keep them registered that way. I'm very excited about it. Excited for y'all to read it. Head to Twitter, follow at Penny Bloom Pod, follow on Instagram at Penny Bloom Podcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rate and review wherever you might be listening. I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And when it comes to war, I fight for Dorne. When it comes to love, I don't choose sides.